A student had a question about this problem. We've got negative exponents, so that's a little freaky. But if you look at it, you see that the exponent on x in the leading term is double the exponent on x in the middle term. And so this, and we've got a constant, and so that shows that this equation is of quadratic form. So if we can make an appropriate substitution, then we'll be able to solve it just using regular quadratic methods, either factoring or quadratic formula. There are other ways to do the problem, but we're going to make a u substitution. And we can see in advance where this is going. We can see that after we have made that substitution, we're going to be able to solve an easier equation. 4u squared minus 17u minus 15 equals 0. Not bad. We're already thinking about, well, how are we going to factor it if we can factor it? Well, what is u then? Because once we solve it, we're going to have to back substitute what u is. And u is always the variable part of the middle term. U is always the variable part, not the negative 17, but the other part, x to the minus 1. U is x to the minus 1, because u is always the variable part of the middle term. Okay, so let's solve this, and we're thinking maybe it's going to factor, and if it doesn't, we'll be happy to go right to quadratic formula. But let's see. If it factors, we're either going to have a 4u and a u, or maybe it's going to be a 2u and a 2u. We generally start at the bottom and work our way up. The factors of 15 are 1 of 15, 3 and 5. So let's see. Let's start at the bottom and start with a 2u and a 2u and see how easy it turns out to be to get the right numbers and the right signs to create, upon foiling, negative 17u. So a 2u and a 2u. Can't forget that this is all still equal to 0. Well, let's see. If we go 1 and 15, I think that's going to get it done, because if you have a 1 and a 15 and you've got, of course, 1 is going to have to be positive, 1 negative in order to make the negative 15. If we go negative 1, positive 15, then the outsides and the insides of the FOIL, right, that's what gives us the middle term, are going to be 30u and minus 2u, that's a negative 28u, so that's not it. And if we, it's not going to work either to have negative 15 and a positive 1. That'd give us negative 28. 3 and a 5, a 3 here and a 5 here. If we choose the right plus or minus, is that going to get it done? Well, that's going to mean we're putting together in some way a 10 and a 6. That doesn't look like it's happening either. So will go up to the 1 and the 4. Apparently, this is a 4u and a u. So let's guess again and go, okay, let's forget this and go a 4u and a u. 4u and a u. And we'll start at the bottom here. 3 and a 5. 3 and a 5, that's putting together a 3u and a 20u. That's going to get her done. So let's see. 3 and a 5, and we have to pick the correct signs. And since the negative 17 is negative, the bigger one is going to have to be negative. That is, the outsides are going to have to be negative. The inside will be positive. And so we have a factorization because that right there is the 4u squared, okay, for foiling. So first, outsides, inside, last. First is correct. Outsides is negative 20u plus 3u is a negative 17u. And the last is negative 15. So we'll solve this using, we're going to set each factor equal to 0, zero product property. 4u plus 3 equals 0, or u minus 5 equals 0. Subtract 3 from both sides and divide both sides by 4, and we're going to have negative 3/4 as a solution. Subtract 3 from both sides. 4u equals negative 3. Divide both sides by 4. U equals negative 3/4. And u is also going to be positive 5. U equals negative 3/4, or add 5 to both sides. U equals positive 5. Of course, we want to resist the temptation to think we're done because we only have solutions in u. We don't have solutions in x. So we need to get solutions in x, meaning that we're going to back substitute in for u what x is, what u is. What is u? Well, we said that u is x to the minus 1. And so it's actually x to the minus 1, which is equal to negative 3/4. X to the minus 1 power is negative 3/4, or x to the minus 1 power equals 5. How do you solve that? What is x to the minus 1? Well, x to the minus 1 is actually 1 over x, right? The negative 1 power means that you are taking a reciprocal. This is 1 over x. So it's actually 1 over x equal to negative 3/4. One over x is equal to negative 3/4, or 1 over x is equal to 5. Now, one move that is legal in algebra is just to flip both sides. If two things are equal, flip, their reciprocals are equal. And so x over 1, which is just x, which is what we're trying to solve for, x over 1 is equal to, flip the other side, negative 4/3. Negative 4/3. Or flip both sides of 1 over x equals 5 over 1. We're going to get 1/5 as a solution also. So x equals 1/5. Our solution set then is -4/3, 1/5.